I'm going to draw a little stick figure here that has cat ears.
And none of them are ever about
cat ears and a white claw.
Cat girls?
No, it's you.
Wait. God damn it. The books. We're getting you into cat girls. What the fuck is happening?
Okay, so the fiction books.
The books, Pat.
B.R, what do you think about cat girls?
I'm just going to start talking, and I'm not going to stop. Nathan.
You're listening to the Art and War podcast with your hosts, Mitch and Nathan. Mitch is a former airborne infantry squad leader who now spends most of his time coaching soccer. Nathan is a professional illustrator and an avid shooter with a couple of years of Canadian military experience. Together, they run the Seaburn art page. Enjoy the show.
Well, like, that's cool that you took notes and everything for the...
I took notes for Pat's guest appearance, but what I really mean is I took more notes than I usually do, which is none. Usually I just roll one and I'm like, who are we talking to today? But,
I feel that. It's like the last one with Charlie. I kind of went in blind and we just talked about each other's dicks the entire time.
Holy shit.
Oh.
Well, you like really broke up on my end, but Zencastr will have grabbed that, so I will know what you said when I edit this.
Oh, don't worry about it. I think the surprise there is going to be the best part.
Well, it always is when I open up the audio files. But anyway, hello everyone. I don't know how the fuck to open this show because you guys don't have an opening. So
opening.
I just sound like a jackass every time I'm like, hello and welcome to the Art and War podcast because you guys don't do that. But
well,
anyway,
I'm going to steal something from Charlie. You're looking real cute today, there, BR.
What about our extremely cute guest, Mr. Pat Watson?
I can't see how cute he is because he's got potato internet, and I believe the term you used. He looks like a censored Japanese penis.
Yes. Well, the thing is, I just met Pat Watson for the first time at Chillderburg, and we'll have to.
Oh, I heard that was really good.
We're gonna force some Chillderburg talk onto Art and War, but
I'm really curious.
I'm gonna send you guys a photo of me. It's not pixelated. Shake my hair out.
I was gonna say he's got the luscious locks going.
He's got a real Fabio thing.
His power is growing by the day. You have no idea. The man is majestic as hell to see in person.
I have just slid up on into your DMs, so you should be able to see me better.
But how are you doing, Pat?
I'm good, man. Fucking pumped.
Fuck yes.
I haven't received it yet, but I wait with bated breath.
It's gonna take like 6 months, like dial up. We just had our first, well, not our first. That was your first, I'm all over the place here because I have to explain Chillderburg. There's so much context I have to explain to our unwitting listeners who have no idea what they're getting into this episode. But we were just at a little liberty/anarchist gathering down in Texas for Memorial Day weekend called Chillderburg. And so after chatting with Pat for years on various podcasts now and just, in DMs and stuff, finally got to meet in person. But yeah, how was the event for you, man?
I was a little nervous to be around so many other weird autists like me. That was a first, but I loved it, dude. It was the nicest group of the weirdest people I'd ever met, and I love that. I fucking loved it.
Yes. We I think all of our lives are enriched by being around weird people, and I would say the three of us all have our quirks and our own ways, Nathan, a few more than most. Living in a Commonwealth country does that to you. But
oh my god,
prolonged exposure to a boot with a crown on it will do all sorts of hideous things to your psyche. But
I agree.
But no, it was. So for those not in the know, Chillderburg, it's like a little libertarian/anarchist festival down in just outside of Austin, Texas. This was its 4th year, so it's relatively young. About 300 people-ish showed up. I need to talk to the organizer, Jacob, about that. But yeah, it's
well over 100, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, easily over 100. Last year it was around 300, but this year I think it was similar. But yeah, it's a lot of people when you talk about kind of political groups and finding your tribe and all that, it ends up being, for libertarians, you're gonna end up at an LP meeting, and personally, not a fan. Fuck parties. It's a waste of everyone's time, resources, and patience. No, it's a chance for people to kind of get together with like-minded people, find your tribe, but without being just engulfed in politics. Like, I spoke to so few people about day in, day out politics while I was at Chillderburg. It was mostly about being around people who accept you for your lifestyle, how you do your thing, don't hurt people, don't take their stuff, and yeah, it was like a little pop-up anarchist village over the weekend, just like camping out on at what was it, Muleshoe Bend in Texas, in the beautiful green Texan hill country, the only place my obscene amount of multicam tropic works. So but no, it was freeing. That was what I had from my first year, because I showed up kind of a fly on the wall, because it was mostly like a libertarian Twitter event, but it was so good to see you in your element, Pat, because what you were doing was exactly what I hoped to see. And we were both like running around all over the place trying to meet people and hang out and stuff, but when I was around you, you were always either spreading knowledge, giving demonstrations. You were taking hostages at one point. That was my favorite.
Wait, fucking what?
I've duct taped a few people and zip tied a few people.
Yeah, Pat just got blackout drunk. It was scary. No, he was doing some 101 on like kind of evasion stuff. So some knuckleheads taped you up, and he thinks that's gonna do you in. And at my little camp, Little Amsterdam, he was taking hostages, taping them up, and then showing them how to break out. Same with like zip ties and stuff like that. And I was like, it was a simple enough thing, but I'd never seen it demonstrated in person.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Yeah. And it took you like what we had. You did like you spread potentially life-saving knowledge with what we had kicking around the camp, and a willing volunteer. who strolled up to the camp and didn't quite know what he was getting into, but he was game.
Wait, did a random person just like...
Who was it? I forget who I zipped. I know one person I duct taped. I don't know who I was restraining when I was with you.
Out of context.
Yeah, out of that'll be the promo. I don't know who I was duct taping, but I don't know his name by off the top of my head, but he was a Chillderburg camper. He wasn't like a random camper.
Okay, that's what it sounded like initially. Ranger. Just like this random camper wandered.
No. The park ranger might have got it if he had been snooping too much, but no. It was just a Chillderburg camper. We had 99% of the place to ourselves, and then there was like one stubborn family who booked at the same time as us and just had to endure a bunch of anarchists doing Woodstock shit. But
that sounds fun. I should have gone to this thing.
Okay. I like I was saying, a lot of people were asking about you, man.
That's weird. That's very weird.
People listen to this show.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's cool. You're always shocked that people listen to this thing.
I am, and that's the problem. People will come to me like weeks later saying like, "Hey, you said this X retarded thing." I'm like, "Oh, people listen to this? You listen to this? What?"
No. I had the same thing this year because last year, like I said, I was a fly on the wall. Not many people knew of me, and I did like a write-up of the third year, and I think a few more people knew of me from that. So I had people this time. I showed up. Well, I don't want to be like all about me or anything, but Pat, apparently there was like a false sighting of me before I arrived.
Yeah.
What?
Did you hear about that?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. A few people were like, "Oh yeah, we thought you arrived like hours ago." I was like, "That's fucking weird." There was like a missighting of me, but yeah. For you, Pat, because you presumably you've never done like a big meet and greet of any description aside from the your homesteading classes and stuff and lockpicking classes, right? It's been more. There's never been like a I'm meeting podcast listeners for outside of an educational environment, right?
I think I remember one person ever in my life saying, "Hey, I follow your show," and that was years ago, like years and years ago. And objectively, I've grown a lot since then. And this was just so foreign and strange. It was like, "Oh my God, it's Pat." And it was like, "Hey, yo, you're Pat." And I was like, I don't know what to say. Like, it was weird for me. That was the first.
Yeah. Yeah. That old niche micro internet celebrity phenomena where it's like, well, a few thousand people appreciate my stuff, and that's enough for when there's like, 6 people at an event going like, "Oh, hey man, I love your stuff." You're like, "Oh my god, I'm so overwhelmed."
It was touching.
It's strange because
I liked it. Yeah, it was touching.
Yeah. It was. I don't know. It kind of puts things in perspective a little bit, and like you're like, oh, these are real people who get real value from everything I do, and it's, I don't know. It makes it a bit more real, and it kind of I don't know. It reinforces the will to put in all the time. At least for me, but I'm sure you look like you were having a blast. Duct taping people and chatting about all sorts.
Yeah, I did have a blast. And I'll tell you why it was more important to me than I had realized at the time. So it was cool, like being a weird micro niche celebrity. I don't love that. I don't love the limelight. I don't want to be on TV or Oprah ever. It was a big deal to me because the content that I put out and the courses that I teach are not extracurricular. So I don't ever record a podcast with the intention to be like, hey, this will be funny. Ugh. It's always like, I try so hard. If it is something humorous, like at least I try to put value in everything that I do so that anyone consuming any of my content, whether it's my books or my classes that I take or that I put on around the country, or the video courses that I have hosted up or whatever, or just my podcast episodes, I always try to add value to the listener. And often I try to make that usable value. And some of the stuff that no one else is doing. And I try to ask those really hard questions that I think humans miss that a lot. There's no one in school asking kids like, hey, how do you know when you should stop a relationship with someone? Like, no one talks about that. Or like, how do you know, where does the funding come from for your job? How does management interact with employees? How does upper management act with, middle or lower management? How does a board of directors or a CEO act with management and employees? Like, how do those different levels interact, and what are the incentives there? So you have these poor schmuck kids, going to work for companies or governments, and they're a bottom of the barrel cog in the machine, and they have no clue how that world around them works. And I feel for them because they want to pull their fucking hair out, just like I used to want to do, because it doesn't make sense in that machine.
Yep.
So I try to tell people, it does make sense. It makes perfect sense if you're at the top of that machine. So what I try to do is teach people usable skills, and I try to get people out of those shitty jobs that they're fucking stuck at. I also do dog stuff and lockpicking, amongst other things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate you squeezing. We didn't give you a proper introduction. You're squeezing in the resume. I've got some notes from last time because I was re-listening to the episode because I was like, I don't want to redo episode 24.
The first episode with yeah,
and just ask Pat all of the regular, but some of the stick out points that my one sticky note of notes. Lots of talk about service, painful for Pat.
Great.
And not in the like holding my head, like I didn't want to talk about this stuff, but just like, guys, this stuff sucks.
Dude, it's a mental. I just said that.
Avoid all of that.
I just said that to someone the other day. It's not that I have any trauma over any of that. I just don't think about it ever. It's not in my, like, there's moments when I'm like, oh shit, I used to wear a uniform to work. That's weird. Like, it's just out of the blue. I just don't spend a lot of mental time in that space.
Yeah, I kind of get the same thing. Like, I'm sure for you, when you get asked on a podcast, having asked you on many podcasts, one of the things we always have to ask you about is your, military service and how it's informed you, how it brought you to anarchism and free thought and bureaucracy and all of that. But for me, every time I go on a show and the person like semi knows me, it's always like, oh, so how was England? It's like, I haven't been there in years, dude. I have no idea. You're just bringing me back. Oh, how was it being a gun owner in England? Terrible. Next question. I'm sure it feels much the same way. My other favorite, one favorite takeaway was everyone is born an anarchist.
Yeah. I love that.
And I was like,
from episode 24, yeah?
Yeah. I was like, when I was editing that, I was like, damn it, I really wanted to be in on this conversation, but I talked to Pat enough. But I don't know. That was a few episodes ago, and our audience has grown a little bit since then, and not everyone's gonna run back to episode 24. But I don't know. Is that something you'd want to like expand on a little bit to kind of clarify for people?
So I will give people that answer in 6 seconds, which is read the book The Most Dangerous Superstition and watch the short video on YouTube called The Most Dangerous Religion. So that's the answer. If you want me to talk about it in my own words, I'd be happy to. So I ask a lot of perspective questions. I just had a very nice long internal dialogue today with myself driving down the road. And it was, so I'll give you a hint at some of the perspective that goes through my brain. I'm thinking about writing at least maybe 1 or 2 more books similar to Fuck Bureaucracy. So I hate government, but that doesn't mean that if you work for the government, I hate you. I understand that people are people. I was tricked and lied to with $1 trillion a year propaganda machine. I thought I was doing what was right, and now I know that I wasn't. So this is not an attack on a person, but this is a series of questions that I recently wanted to get down into an article or a podcast. So I guess we'll just do it here. Fuck it. We ball. In the words of Bojack.
Yeah, I guess so.
I dig it.
Send it.
So again, not an attack, not an argument, not a debate, but I think most of the public and most people that are police officers go, police officer equals hero. Great, cool, super. So we'll start with that baseline. And if we ask police officers, or if we ask the public that support the police, if we say, does a hero do what is morally righteous and necessary regardless of rules, or does a hero only follow rules? And that, of course, that's a trick question because we know what the next few statements are going to be. But I think most people, if they're in a vanilla box and they're not picking up on the weighted question, it would be, yeah, hero does what's right regardless of the weird rules around him. Okay. So police officers are, let's make it a great, morally clear situation. So not like cops are heroes because they kick in doors to steal people's weed. Let's do something different. Cops are heroes because there's a really bad person that really murdered people, and he's wanted for murder, and he's on the run. So if you're in your police car and you have your badge on and your uniform on and you're a cop and you see on your laptop a little wanted email that says, this guy wanted for murder, and you look up over your dashboard and you go, you're driving through a community and you go, oh my God, there he is. He just parked his car. He's walking into his house. I throw the car in park. I get out. I run with my little badge and my little gun, and I tackle him, and I save the day. And I am a hero. I think in this thought experiment, sure, that action equals hero. Next, let's say there's another guy that murders somebody. And you get another email that says, this guy's wanted for murder. This guy number 2 also wanted for murder. And you get fired that day, and you turn in your badge, and you turn in your gun, and you get in your civilian car, not your police car, and you're driving right back through another neighborhood, and you go, oh my God, that's the second guy that's wanted for murder. If he goes into his house, and you put your car in park, and you run across the street, and you kick his door in with your gun, and you hold him at gunpoint, are you a hero, or are you a psycho criminal if you do it without a badge?
Well, depends on which court you're standing in front of. Public opinion or the one that matters.
So what if we change the variables, right, to, marijuana, kicking someone's door in for marijuana? What about speeding, right? Someone's speeding really fast. Like they're really a bad person. They're really endangering traffic. And a cop runs him off the road. Cop equals hero. Same thing. Person's really driving really bad, and you just got fired from your cop job. What are you going to do? Are you going to go, I'll be the hero that stops him? Or are you going to go, nope, not for me. Hands off. I don't do that anymore. I got fired. Fuck them. So that's, we can add all sorts of variables into and out of that scenario. But what I think that will show, if people are in law enforcement and they're listening to this, well, thanks for not turning it off. I appreciate that. I was one of you. I'm not against you. I'm against the governing of what you do, but not you. So if you start adding and subtracting variables from that, I think you'll quickly see that, oh, I shouldn't be kicking in people's doors if they're having arguments if I don't have a badge. If I do have a badge, I'll do it. And you know what? One of them makes me a hero. One of them makes me a criminal. Huh. Well, if the act of stopping that act in progress makes you a hero, then shouldn't you be able to do it without a badge? So what if you're no longer getting paid to do that, why wouldn't you do it anyways? Because, you're a hero. You're a hero even without the uniform, right? The hero doesn't come from wearing the uniform. Being a hero means you're the hero. So why should your paycheck determine which action you do and don't take if you're going out and being heroic? And I think you'll find that very many people that were cops and that maybe retire or that just left the job no longer do all those hero things. Does that mean they're not heroes anymore? Or does that just mean we have a system where only certain people are allowed to do certain things, regardless of morality? So I know that this might not be the most clean-cut or most exciting thought experiment I've ever posited to people, but stuff like that is what I try to cover on my podcast quite a bit, which is asking perspective questions that nobody else asks.
Yeah, and I think, well, that's why, myself and Mitch loves your approach to these kind of things and these kind of topics. Like the episode that Mitch hopped on about of yours was what makes a government a government. That's the title, right?
That's my number one most popular episode by far. Yes, it's called What Makes a Government a Government. I'll look up the number.
But like your process to these things, you don't approach it from. I think when a lot of people, they hear anarchist and they probably think like screaming Chaz resident from Seattle who demands your stuff, and so something that we have such a big audience and there's so many people who are going to hear this and kind of like mentally switch off and just kind of assign whatever their thought on the word is, they're going to instantly shut down. So to hear your approach to it, it's not from like an emotional position or anything. It's thought experiments, and it's like hard. Well, what does it come down to, and what is the actual weight of a person's action, and the kind of beyond the the costumes and the labels and all of the stuff that's not really real. Like how are you behaving compared to I guess the box that people are meant to be in, or the way things are meant to work because we've been told they're meant to work that way. And it's a big topic to try and like, and a really hard label for a lot of people to kind of approach. But I don't know. I hope a little bit of exposure to these ideas, and what Kerry Wedler always talks about with this kind of stuff is planting seeds and kind of like, here's an idea. I'm not like force feeding you this stuff, but like just ask yourself the question, is this the moral way to do things? Is there, does it make sense the way that we just our day-to-day operations?
Well, Nathan, are you drinking?
Yeah, you muted yourself, buddy. Dude, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Mitch has me in the habit of muting when I'm not talking. I got a Monster Energy drink. Is it 11 p.m.? Yes. Do I care? No.
I am sorry to drag you guys to Arizona time because I'm lame and out
it's
west.
Okay. You know what? I still have the leftover can from Charlie's episode just sitting here next to the computer because I'm disgusting.
No,
what are you drinking?
What?
I asked Pat what he's drinking, but I don't know if he could hear me because potato internet.
I got it. I am drinking delicious cold ice water out of my custom-made cup that says titles don't mean shit.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was a big can of something.
Fuck yeah.
I'll send you a picture.
I was like, I believe you. I just see a red Solo cup. I was just reading through my notes, realizing they're all fucking useless.
Tell me, like, what are they like?
I'll just rattle off the rest. Pat says he was under duress during episode 24.
What?
That's correct.
How?
Yes, that's correct.
Pat specifically goes, B.R, if you're listening to this, I'm under duress. I appreciate the little shout outs to the editor. I feel involved. It's breaking the fourth wall. But what else? Oh, and my final note is both Pat and Nathan get drunk, which is funny because, like, Pat, on your show, like you said, you always like to deliver value, And I love when you're giving an educational talk while sipping whiskey. It's fucking excellent. I want more teachers like that.
We can do that again. I'm just taking a little break from that for now.
Oh no. I think it's not like it's like a regular thing that you do. At least I've noticed. But I think it was maybe the prepping might have been like the bug in apartment preparedness episode.
I remember that one
where you were sipping you were sipping whiskey, and I was like, this is how I record. This is why we get along. But I am not drinking. I have not drank anything while recording in a while. Instead, I use other substances to get in the right mindset, and then I just forget what the fuck I'm on about mid sentence. So, but
carry on.
No, the other thing that you brought up at Chillderburg, that you were your new project. I think you might have shared a little bit of the. Am I going to drag you into the deep end with this one?
Yeah, no, let's do it.
All right. It's funny because I was just. Do you remember Whiskey and Rebellion?
Of course I do. Yeah.
Okay. So I just interviewed him at in person. He stopped by a few months ago, or something, and he was also writing a fiction book.
Oh, yeah,
but he's not in the kind of educator mind. We'll get into what you're doing because you're doing some different stuff. But it's funny because I've been very on my Robert Heinlein recently, and then all of a sudden, two of the people I love most in this community are like, oh yeah, I'm writing fiction. But so yeah, you said that beyond your lock picking and fuck bureaucracy, although you want to continue doing those kind of books, you said you were also working on your first fiction book.
Yes, it has been a long time coming. I've written probably 37 different fiction books, the beginnings of them, over the last 10 years. So. Oh,
okay. I was gonna say, how much word I've wrote. I think I was saying to Whiskey too. I wrote a 72,000 word count novel, and I just never fucking published it.
It's tough, man.
And it's just sitting there. It's my firstborn. Yeah, it just sat there, and then I got into all of this shit, and it's just been shelved since. So I love hearing people getting back into the fiction stuff. But what does the you said you started 37 odd books? What does the start of a book look like for you? Would it be 1,000 words? Would it be just a few sentences? How deep do you go?
I have two nonfiction books published. I have another book published that's Nathan did the artwork for the first few pages, but it's basically a technical code manual book. So it's not a copywritten published
super
work.
Interesting stuff.
It's really cool, but it's just basically.
I love you guys working together. That's the coolest fucking thing.
Full of math, not full of words. So those three books.
The newest one, the kind of technical stuff, was that kind of in a graphic novel style?
Yes. Spiral bound.
They were just drawing accompanying.
No. I just meant your part.
Oh, my part? Yeah, kinda.
That's what. And then I mean that's something else we can jump into later. But I was like, something more of this needs to happen.
Yeah.
But sorry. Your book or your startings of books.
Right. So I have another nonfiction book that I'm working on. It's the second volume to our Tactical Lockpicking book. And that one is just a couple months away from being published. The draft is written. So we have a product at this point. We're just going back through and adjusting before we publish.
Is this a lesson 2 kind of advanced lockpicking? Or
it's a different selection of tools and techniques, but it also fits within our curriculum.
That's good to hear that's being expanded too, because that's definitely been. I have seen speaking on lockpicking, but I have seen so many big pages starting to chime into the lockpicking thing.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It's super, super useful and super interesting stuff.
It's really good to see. Yeah. I love seeing so fucking many people are like, this is really important knowledge, just kind of out of the woodworks.
I'm going to talk to you about crazy lockpicking stuff in just a second. I promise. It's going to be totally wild. But let me answer your question about fiction. So this one.
Oh yeah. We dragging you off into the bushes. Thank you, Pat.
Nathan. You were supposed to herd these cats, bro.
Oh my God! I am the cat.
Yeah,
I am the cat.
I
That's a good punchline. That's how you should start the show. Nathan going, I am the cat. Meow.
and then just getting into it. But
oh my god, man! Like I think I've solo hosted a couple episodes now, and none of them have any direction. I am the cat.
Okay.
B.R
I'm
has
proud
any-
of you. I'm proud of you for getting enough content for an hour and 40. But
I'm going to draw a little stick figure here that
Dude,
has cat ears,
and none of them are ever about
cat ears, and a white claw.
cat girls.
No, it's you.
wait. God damn it! The books. We're getting you into
sorry.
cat girls. What the fuck is happening?
Sorry. Okay, so the fiction book.
The books, Pat.
B.R, what do you think about cat girls?
I'm just going to start talking, and I'm not going to stop, Nathan. So
Good.
the fiction
Okay,
book
we'll get into
is
hentai after.
5 chapters deep right now. We're expecting it to be about 20 or so. It's different, man. It's a whole different world. So with the technical work that I write, I have every single page in my head already, and there is no creativity has to happen other than, is the way that I wrote this, does it make sense? Yep, cool, great. With fiction, I have to create a world and create a story and create themes and create characters, and they all have to blend together. It's dude, it's insane. My brain hurts, but it's a lot of fun. It's very cathartic too. I think because some of the best fiction in the world is true, and some of the best fiction in the world is life. It mirrors life.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. I like taking framings from meat space and kind of plugging them in. Yeah.
Did you say it was You say it was going to be a science fiction book?
No, not yet. We might do one of those later. We have some outlines for that, but this one's going to be present time, present day, present world.
Oh, what's the general plot? Like, what's happening?
Oh, okay.
So we're going to do, I guess, what you would call episodic novels. So we're going to do short novels, but we're going to do back-to-back, kind of like a comic book series where there's, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. And what we're planning on doing is bringing big tactical names from the world into our novels as characters, and they will use their skill sets to solve plot problems. And we will explain to the reader, so we want the reader to learn without knowing that they're learning. So the opening scene in our first book shows someone from our community doing some tactical lockpicking. It's not me, it's somebody else. But he's doing recon, he's approaching a building, he has his tools on him, he gets to the lock, he does his thing, he's processing the scene, he's making decisions. And we explain to the reader, like, he did this first because of that, then he did that next because of that, and he used this tool because of this. And so we explain it along the way. So it does a couple things. It pulls the reader into the world, and it shows that the character is a professional at what he does. But it also teaches the reader if they're interested in learning. So if they're like, oh, that does make sense. Yeah, I've done that before. So
I love that.
We have some plans for some shooters to be in the novel or the next novel. We have some, of course, some medical experts. Those are a dime a dozen after Iraq. Thank you, 9/11. But it's supposed to be fun and cathartic, but it's supposed to be within our framing, which is things that other people aren't doing. It's supposed to add value. And we also are on kind of a new kick. So the 2-day lockpicking course that I teach, we're doing the next one in August. It's August 17th and 18th in Wilmington, North Carolina. And it's 16 hours of crazy shit that people don't know exists. We're using all sorts of cool tools. We're breaking into padlocks and doors and vehicles. We're breaking out of restraints. We're putting real hands on real doors. We're putting students in the trunks of cars, driving around in circles and having them break out of handcuffs while they're, bagged and tagged in the back.
Yes, hostages.
So that's cool.
That's awesome.
It's cool. It's fun. We love that. Our advanced course, which we're now tying to the tail end of that 2-day course, will be 3 nights in a row of nighttime operations for the first 2 days are emergency access, but using non-destructive methods and some restraint escapes. The advanced course is planning an operation, getting recon, making preparations, and then carrying out your covert entry hit, which is a way different mental framing than, okay, you're at this door. What do you do? Oh, I picked the lock.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You passed. That's good. That's really good. But what's different is, and what's really scary, and which is probably really important in this world coming up, is instead of going, oh, I found myself at this door and I happen to have some non-destructive entry tools like lockpicks. Now we're going, okay, that building over there, we're hitting it in 2 days. Go do a drive-by, take a photo of the lock, walk past the building, look at the door frames. Which way is it open, in or out? Okay, which tools will you bring? What will you be wearing when you do that? Are you bringing a gear bag? Are you doing it in broad daylight? Are you going to be able to, can you see someone use the key on that door? That can tell you what make and model the keyway is. Then you can copy that key from a photo, or from, if you borrow the key for a second to do something, if you have temporary access to that key, you punch it in a little clamshell mold, or you put it in a little key gauge card that tells you the bidding for the key. You go back out to your car, you punch a brand new factory spec key. Now you have access so that when you go back to the building, you don't have to use a battering ram or a pry bar or explosive breaching tools. You just put the key in the door. So that is going to be, I'm going to bring this back to fiction in a second, but now on Uncensored Tactical, the way we create content and our courses is that we create not only as much fucking value as possible, but we make it an experience. So we want you to sit your ass down, and the second that the timer starts and you go, okay, we're in class, we want you to go, oh, holy shit, instead of, oh, cool lesson. So the fiction book, we want also to be an experience. We have some thoughts on it. I say we. I have a collaborator that does a ton of work behind the scenes. He's very invaluable. He's one of those people that is basically a genius but doesn't know it. So I got very lucky in that.
Are they like a researcher or a co-writer?
It's basically a content collaborator and a logistics person. His moniker used to be Bubbers. I talk about him a lot on my show. He's in some of my episodes. You can hear him speaking in some of my recent podcast episodes. But he is Dave, so you'll hear us chatting quite a bit. He's not a very public person. He has no social media, no nothing. You can't email him if you wanted to. You can ask me, and I can get you in touch with him if you want. But we talk a lot about our framing.
That's a dream.
We talk a lot. So this is cool too. So we want our fiction book to be an experience, not just, hey, let's tell the story. Oh, let's put a tactical tool in there. Like we are giving it layers and layers and layers of depth. So that is our goal. And we do that with our courses too. So that answers the fiction book, I think, for now, unless you have more questions. But our courses are the same way. So every time a student gets a lesson block, let's say it's a 30 or 40-minute lesson block, Dave and I have probably spent 10 to 20 hours of in-depth framing and value add to make sure that that block is not just, oh, hey, here's a tool. Let's teach them how to use that tool. Like, that's bargain value course. That's like, I paid $90. I went to some brewery and some guy showed a PowerPoint on lockpicking. Like, that's what you get. Here's the tool. Here's how you use it. You're done. What we do is, how fast do we teach this? How many reps do we give them? Well, why? Well, why don't we teach it after that next block? Well, why don't we teach it before that block? Can we omit this, and can the students still learn it on their own? Can we give it to them in a scenario where, do we define a teaching block or a drill or a scenario or an operation? What are the difference between those things? Can you have someone learn something through a scenario without having been taught a block? Yes. Cool. How do we do that? And I'll give you an example. So we teach a code breaking block in our lockpicking course. So how to deal with 3 and 4 digit codes. I can teach you all those things from the book or from a PowerPoint, which I don't use PowerPoint ever, but I can teach you our methods and our madness for 4 digit codes. And then I can put you in a scenario and say, here's 3 different locks. They all have 4 digit codes on them. You need to open up all of them to open up this chain on this gate. What do you do? And if they are taught that block, they can pull some information from a part of their brain and they can apply it. If I talk to you guys right now, I can put you in a scenario and go, oh man, the 3 of us were locked out of this building. What do we do? And you know nothing. And now I can get you to come up with that answer on your own in this scenario. And then I can shape it by going, oh, well, if you consider this and you consider that, these are 2 ways we think about codes. You can go, oh, cool. And then you can start coming up with answers. So I know I just kind of got a little hyped up here for the last few minutes, but this is the stuff that makes me feel alive.
No, you're fine.
No. I love it when you get hyped up. And this is exactly... Yeah, this is exactly what I was saying. At Chillderburg, seeing you discuss this stuff, did you teach some people lockpicking, I heard?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
At Chillderburg?
A lot.
Fuck yes. Yeah. Lot of little vandals. Nah. No. Honestly, no, that would have been so useful. the third year, someone got locked out of their car, and
Someone got locked out this year.
like a regular camper got locked out.
Yeah, so it was like the first night. Someone was like, "Hey, did you talk to that guy?" I'm like, "What guy?" And they're like, "Someone got locked out of their car." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll help them." And they're like, "Oh no, I think they're good." I'm like, "Okay, I won't." Like 5 days later, I logged on to Twitter, and they're like, "Dad, please help! I'm at Chillderburg and I'm locked out."
Yeah.
You're like, well, shit. I guess he's still there.
Did my long
poor bastard.
did my long weird rant make sense to you guys?
I think so.
So it's curriculum and
Yeah. No, I always look to Nathan because Nathan strikes me as the kind of person who can process this stuff at like 1,000 times like the speed I can. Like you're good at learning. I feel like technical stuff.
I mean, you say that, but I've been trying to pick the lock on my gun safe.
let me see it. You have it with you?
Failing.
Do you have it with you?
Yeah, I got a little Sparrow kit right here.
Okay, let me see the lock. Yeah, let's
Here,
get weird.
Me show you the actual lock. Hold on, I gotta pick this up in a way where it doesn't like spill shit everywhere.
Oh shit!
Actually, I'm just gonna send it on the group chat. Hold on.
My breathing is getting shallow. My heart rate is increasing.
I'm so hard right now.
Got the group chat only.
Okay. It's very simple and very.
Oh my god! You can open this tonight.
Oh, push thing.
Yeah, I can get you to open that.
Really?
Yeah, you can open that.
I sent you a picture of the key, the lock, and what the.
You can open that.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me see your tools.
Okay, so I've got the Sparrow tuxedo kit. I have a more comprehensive kit downstairs.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, let me pull it up. I'm going to tell you which tools to use, and we're going to open this lock.
Incredible.
Okay.
I'm so excited to watch this.
I am so interested. To be clear, like the door is open on the safe. I'm just doing this as kind of a vanity thing.
So it's open. Oh wait.
Yes, I'm in a federal building right now, and I'm trying to get into the Department of Firearms. You can sell these all in the black market, huh?
No. The Department of Maple.
The Department of Maple Syrup.
Department of Maple Syrup for all.
Yes.
For all intents and purposes, we're liberating it from Maple fascist Canada.
I know you probably get this question a lot. I know Nathan probably gets this question a lot, but is that a real department in Canada?
The Department of Maple Syrup? No, but it is federally regulated, and apparently we have reserves of it. Canada reserves maple syrup. Let's see what the...
All right, here...
Yes, Canada has maple syrup reserves. The QMSP...
That's actually kind of based, in my opinion. So,
which provides 73% of maple syrup globally, is authorized... Holy shit. Yeah. Strategic maple reserves.
They're like, if we run out of this, no one's gonna give a fuck.
Okay, what's up?
You have some long handle tools. There's one that looks like it has two smooth humps on it. Do you see that one?
This?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then there's you have your pick. It's a nice looking. That is a nice
for
pick,
our listeners. Nathan is holding up a pick.
And then you're going to have you have 6 tension wrenches. 3 of them look like they have a double bend, so it looks like a Z. You don't want those.
Yes.
You probably want...
Okay, so the straight ones only.
Right, you want the straight ones with the twist in the metal. Grab one of those, probably the smaller one.
Straight ones with the...
Yeah, it looks like a capital letter L, and there's a twist in the long leg.
Yes.
Okay, now, question. When you look dead on into the keyway, is there a chunk of metal on only one side, like the bottom of the keyway, or 2 sides, the bottom and the top of the keyway? Because I didn't see a really good picture. It wasn't clear.
Hold on, let me take a look with a light. Guess we're doing this live.
Yeah,
yeah, it loads.
Fuck it.
That being said, this is different.
Nathan, have you ever picked a lock before? Oh,
there's a chunk of metal on the bottom and the top.
Okay, cool. Here's what you're going to do. Do you know which direction to twist that lock to get it to open? If not, it's fine.
Let me triple check here. Yep, clockwise.
Okay, so get it into the position you want, where you're going to put that tension wrench in with the short leg of the tension wrench goes in, and you're going to apply light twisting tension in the clockwise direction. And you're gonna put that tension wrench smack dab in the middle of that keyway. Because you're going to be picking the top and the bottom, you're going to try and aim for the center. So you want your tension wrench to not wedge itself very far. You want it to be like pretty firmly seated to where if you wiggle clockwise and counterclockwise with the tension wrench, it doesn't really move too much. Does that make sense? You don't want it slipping all the way up to like noon and all the way down to 6 o'clock. You want it like solidly set. Cool.
Yes.
So if just touching your fingertip to the tension wrench is 1%, and if pushing so hard that you bend and put a permanent bend in that tension wrench is 100%, for now, let's get you to aim towards like 5 or 10% pushing pressure.
Yes.
So you're going to, if you can fit that little, it's like a half snowman, they call it, pick in, you're going to put it in above the tension wrench, put those humps facing up and go in and out, up and down a little bit. And you do that for about 10, 15 seconds. Then you're going to take that tool out, rotate 180 degrees, put it in below the tension wrench while maintaining that pushing pressure. And you're going to go in and out, up and down on the bottom side of that keyway. And you're going to keep taking your tool out, switch it around, put it on the top, take your tool out, switch it around, put it on the bottom. You're going to do that a little bit. And you should feel in your tension wrench finger if that lock is starting to make any spinning progress. Is that close to what you've been trying so far?
Yep, very. That's essentially what I've been trying.
Okay.
This is the sexy part, right?
So the hardest things that I can't really do for you from here is the hardest thing to do for you from here is the fit. So I don't know how small you can get your tension wrench, and I don't know if that tool is too large or too small. Yeah. Sometimes when the tools are too large, they will push everything out of the way too far, and it won't allow you to get an entry.
Yeah.
So probably with that lock.
I did actually manage to get several of the tumblers. I just reset it.
Oh, I thought you had the whole thing. I was just going to celebrate.
No, but it was progress.
Sweet. So if you're doing that and you're getting progress, you can keep trying that on repeat.
Yeah. No, I managed to get several of the tumblers.
The other thing you can do is you can start playing with variables, which is almost all of what we do. We play with variables and we get data and we repeat. That's how we build our skill set, whether it's in training or in the field. So for all my students, I tell them, when you're training, the magic comes from starting with your feel, understanding the science, and we do both. We do 50% feel, 50% science, and blending those two together. And then you play with variables. So using a different pick profile, using a different tension wrench profile, using more tension, using less tension. Here's a good technique for you if you're not familiar with it, is to wave your tension in and out. So start with like 5% tension and slowly go to like 10% tension, 20% tension, and then like mash it really hard, 30, 40%, and then ease off 20%, 10%, 5%. So you're waving your tension as one option.
I did not know you could do that.
Uh-huh. The other thing you could do is a fatter or a thinner tension wrench. And sometimes it's counterintuitive. Sometimes you're like, oh, this won't work. But you just play with those variables and you give it a try. So the other part of our course, the advanced course that we're doing, which is planning an operation for covert entry, is we're also adding in what we call key generation. So the tactical lockpicking course, like I said, it's opening padlocks with picks. It's bypassing padlocks. So without having to mess with the pins in the keyway, you use a different technique to kind of short circuit that system. It's how to slip through doors and latches. It is how to access locked vehicles. It is breaking out of restraints. It is code breaking, all sorts of cool things.
Is this like is that kind of your, like, if you were saying to someone like you should learn these skills, this is where you start? Is that like the first course?
Yeah, that's what my first book is on. So the first book that I wrote called Tactical Lockpicking, and there's some copycats out there that are terrible. So you want the one that's by me, by Pat Watson. It's like 260 pages, full color, huge book. That mirrors the curriculum in my course. And that book kind of tells you some behind the scenes for how the curriculum was developed, which is really cool. So it's a good primer before you attend my course, or it's a good reference after you've attended my course. The second book we're writing is going to mirror our advanced course that we're teaching, which adds in key generation. So it's, if you have temporary access to a key, you can copy or create a key from scratch and use that key on a future entry operation. Even if you just have a photo of a key, you can decode that photo and you can create your own key so that when you plan your operation into whatever structure you're going in, you'll have a key with you. It will also include things like if you don't have access to the key, but you have access to the lock, which sometimes in life, you'll be in a building, you won't have a key, and you'll be standing there at the lock by yourself, uninterrupted, unsupervised, not on camera. And there are some tools and methods that you can use to go, oh, well, the lock is here. The lock has information in it. We can pull that information out, leave, go cut a brand new key, and come back with the key. So that's the really exciting, sneaky stuff that we're adding into our course. And it's crazy fucking valuable. So another part of our curriculum design is we want you to be able to use this, whether you are administratively just managing a homestead or whether you are a top tier super secret operator. So we want to lay a foundation for how to use tools, techniques, and how to make smart, systemized decisions. So that's the foundation. So if you want to add a different tool into your skill set, you at least know how to think about applying that tool in the field. And that's the magic. And that's what a lot of other people aren't really doing. So we pull you out of that classroom as much as possible. I hate classroom learning. I hate PowerPoints. I hate the student instructor role, which is I talk, I tell you what to do, you do it. So I try to tell my students, I want a peer learning environment. So everyone gets their seat, but I go, listen, you probably shouldn't be sitting in that seat the whole time. Get up, walk around, ask the other students questions, ask me questions. Self-learning is encouraged. Like if the guy next to you can't get it open and you got it open, explain to him what you did. So start teaching immediately, which is rare. That's a rare design in a classroom. You often don't want students doing that in your standard bureaucratic classroom. It's like, no, I'll be the teacher here. It's crazy.
Well, it's like part of learning is the ability, as I'm sure you well know, is the ability to then teach someone else the skill that you've learned. Because that's kind of like the final part of processing is being able to pass it on and really kind of demonstrating that you have it down and that muscle memory and all that, and getting that enough confidence to be like, and especially in an environment like yours where a guy might be like, oh yeah, I was doing this, and you come along and like, that's 90% of it, and but like this, and just like nudge them that little bit. Yeah, and that kind of learning is so much more infectious than the sterile, like, classroom rigid, I'm in charge, you're the peon, I'm here to talk at you, and, here's your certificate at the end of it, instead of actually going and getting that muscle memory, and like you said, those reps.
A lot of what we do is the few things I've seen close to $500,000 or $1 million worth of top tier training thrown at me. And a lot of the ways that I teach or the style that I teach is from some of the good things I've seen, but from most of the bad things that I've seen, we don't do. And this is one of my teaching methods, or my, what would you call it? Principles, the principles of how I train. God, let me get on a soapbox. I fucking hate when I ask people or when people say, we have a principle-based training system. Okay, what are your principles? And I go, well, like be nice to people, show up on time. Those aren't principles. So good try. One of the principles that I teach under is that I will not hold information close to my chest or I won't keep information private from my students to stop their progress and their growth. I give every student everything that I have. So there's no secret techniques. There's no I can't answer that until you take the black belt course. Like, we don't do that. So our goal with every student in every class, regardless of content, is if you show up and you want to learn some shit, even if it's not in the curriculum, we'll get you an answer. We'll give you everything, the philosophy, the systemized approach, the references. We'll send you to other people to go learn. Like, we'll tell you where we get all our tools. We'll tell you where we got all of our training. So my goal with every student is I want them to have everything they need in order to become a better practitioner than I am. That's my goal. And I think that's a big deal. So we try and do things different.
Fuck yeah. Well, that's how you advance these skill sets. Like, you know, there's so many masters who have, not trying to blow smoke up your ass or anything, but just in any craft, there is a master who passes on his knowledge to the student, and the student keeps on developing that skill set or that practice or that art form or whatever it might be, and they discover new things and like they streamline it and they perfect it, and that is how you truly pass on knowledge. And I think that's kind of like the very old-fashioned human way of passing on knowledge, but it's kind of been, as of late, I don't know what's happened to our way of learning new things in society, but I feel like it's been stagnated and bureaucratized, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I think that comes from. I think a lot of that comes from that scarcity mindset. Like,
Yes.
oh, if I tell them that, then they won't need me anymore.
Yeah, you gotta gatekeep being a master, and then your students, you die, and your students know a little less than you, and you lose knowledge instead of like building knowledge, which is antithetical to what education is.
I am not afraid of that. I want to give everyone everything that I've got. And what I like about it is, with basically a lifestyle design business where I am the business. I can't sell my business to someone because it's me. Yet anyone can take any of the tools and techniques that I've taught my students, and they can copy my curriculum, or you could try to do things in the same order as me, whatever. But they can't be me. They can't think how I think. They can't talk to students how I talk to students. So that is the value. So I can give away every single thing that I do, and I can still be good at what I do, and I can still bring value to the field, which is the way that I think and the way that I interact with people. And I think that's not that I'm so super special, but that I care a lot about what I do, and I try to put as much value into what I do as possible. And I know I said that like 10 times tonight, but it's true. I really don't like paying a lot of fucking money and giving my own time to other trainers. And I get there, and the marketing doesn't match the material. I don't like that. I don't like, hey, we're going to do this awesome stuff. And I get there, and they have gone, oh, technique number 1, we'll teach you that. Great, moving on. Technique number 2, we'll teach you that. Yeah. Moving on. That's not learning to me. That's being, I don't know, that's someone telling me to go practice a thing, and I don't get a lot out of that. So I want to learn something. That's a lost art.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that so many people, even people who might have, relevant, good information, they then just... Someone can have good information and be a shitty teacher, and that teaching itself is such an important skill set. If you have no way to pass on that information in a decent way, everyone's fucked. And I think a lot of people suffer from that Austrian schooling kind of mindset where it's just, it's not meant to make like great thinkers. It's meant to make obedient thinkers, and you just kind of like mash it in, whatever shape it is through the square peg. And all the students got one size fits all, and guess what?
I'm very excited.
3 out of 10 got it.
Nathan, I'm gonna mail you a tool that will work a little bit better.
Mail? Sure. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I like how you knew that I couldn't get in. I got pretty damn close, I think. But yeah. I muted myself because I realized
we heard like the knocking, and then it got quieter.
For the audience, I also couldn't see what you were doing. You were completely off screen. So if you sometime in the future, I can walk you through that. We can give you a little session. I
would actually really like that. Next time we do a call or something.
Yeah.
I liked the ASMR, but so for the audience, Pat, can you diagnose? You were saying the tool might have been the issue.
So the problem is Nathan might not have had enough to drink tonight.
I mean,
we'll start.
I'm also retarded, so that could be
that could be an issue too.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, I haven't had a drink since the episode with Garrett.
Okay, then you're not lubed up, dude. That's the problem.
Just monkey it open.
So good old Catman here is not lubed up.
Gotta get that retard strength in. Boo, Catman, get lubed.
Ow!
Get lubed.
Get lubed.
The second thing is you probably want a tension wrench that fits really well, and I couldn't tell if yours did or didn't fit because I couldn't see what you're doing. But there are tools out there.
It didn't fit super well. I had to kind of monkey around it.
I knew that was going to be probably the biggest issue. The other thing is there are tools that can attack both the top and the bottom of that keyway at the same time. So that might be an option.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So instead of having to go piecemeal and go just the top, just the bottom, just the top, just the bottom, there's tools that do both at the same time. And there's two different ways you can do that. One is with what we call a jiggler, and I'll mail you some of those. And that is just the scientific term where you stick the tool in, you twist it, and while holding that twisting pressure, you jiggle it up and down, in and out. The other one is you separate those two motions, where you put in a tension wrench, and you're holding tension with one hand, and you're doing the in and out, up and down with the other hand, like you just did, but top and bottom at the same time, instead of just the top, just the bottom. So we have lots of options here. There is no doubt in my brain that is an openable lock for you. You have the skill set, you have the tools that could do it, but you have to troubleshoot a little bit. I have no doubt that that's openable. That's like a day one lock. You can do that. Within the first few hours of my course, you'll have opened hundreds of those.
I am excited. I like lockpicking. It's a lot of fun. It's very, ASMR was the word you used?
Yeah. Well, you're clicking away in the background when we were chatting.
No, I like dirty, nasty little hobbies that make
so that's the other thing too.
Things.
My very first course that I taught publicly, because I've been doing this for over a decade, to my peers that were in the military and in law enforcement with me. I was a trainer and I trained them in this stuff. But my first commercial course was a preparedness group out of Ohio, and it was a bunch of cool dudes, and some were first responders, but they all got together because they do an annual training block twice a year for their little local community, which is awesome. And the guy that was kind of the head of that group told his buddies, he's like, dudes, we can take yet another rifle course, or we can learn this thing from this dude that will completely change the way we look at the world. And the guys were all like, all right, let's try that. And so I went up to Ohio and taught my first commercial entry course. And I still talk to that guy today. Super, super cool dude. Very smart, very turned on. Mentally, I don't know his sexual preference, but at least he's mentally switched on. Cool. So that's that. We're trying to do that now. The hardest thing is convincing someone to come take a course in something that they don't know exists. And like, you can even tell them the title, it's a lockpicking course, and they can go, cool, great. I'll sit at a desk with a padlock and a paperclip. But that's not what we do. So it's hard to show you, like, hey.
Well, I think you just described it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, there was a lot of lag there. Just how you described it like a little bit ago, it's not like you show up some chintzy class and it's like, here's a tool, here's a lock, and that's, that is the lesson. The lesson is how do we approach an obstacle and kind of the wider mindset as well as the skill set. And like, that's all I wanted to inject there. But
I just taught last week, just outside Memphis, Tennessee last week. And one of the best compliments that I got from my students was, they said, holy shit. As soon as we sat down and took attendance, like, there was no brief, there was no about me, there was no let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. Like, the clock strikes 8 or 9, whatever time it started. And I said, pick up this tool, pick up that lock, go. And they were like, oh, cool. Like, huge raving, like, feedback. They were very, very thankful. And that's the way the whole course goes. But yeah, you're right. It's also the value of, great, you use this tool, and that took you how long to open the lock? 1 minute, 2 minutes. Okay, great. Next tool. Here's how you use it. Okay, cool. Oh my God, that took 2 seconds. Okay, cool. Now, if you get on scene and you have this same lock and you have 2 different tools that open that lock, which one do you choose? Well, the one that took 2 seconds. Great. Now, which one do you carry in your wallet? Well, both. Well, yes, but you can't carry every tool in your wallet. So at a point, you'll have to make a decision about which tools don't go in your wallet. So now you have this tool that opens a lock in 2 seconds, but it's only very specific to one make and model. Whereas the other tool that took 2 minutes can open up 90% of every single padlock on every chain and every gate in this country. And they go, oh. And I go, that's the fucking game that we play. And you get to make that decision, not me. You're the one doing the skill set. You get to choose. Do I take the really redundant tool that works on lots of makes and models but might take a little longer? Or do I start carrying a bunch of tools that are really specific to makes and models but are very fast if I have that make and model in front of me? So it's
like the leashes.
Yeah, the leashes.
I really like that.
And you're stacking numbers. It's a thinking game. It's a numbers game. what I teach has almost nothing to do with the tool or the lock. Almost nothing. I'd give people that as part of the course, but that's not what I'm selling. I'm selling these big sexy brains up here. I'm teaching people how to think differently.
Yes.
I like it, and I'm weird. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
No, I I think that's the way this kind of tactical, I hate to overuse the word, but this tactical culture is going. It's getting less and less like nylon solutions and more like, oh, it's like the gray matter, and that really counts. Like, what's actually going to save my life is thinking about the problem rather than like, oh, did I buy the right stuff? I don't know what's quite shifting us out of that culture, but I'm thankful for it. Like, Nathan, you've been kind of involved in shooting and stuff a lot longer than, especially over here. Or I guess you've been more aware of that stuff longer than I have. But have you seen like a big shift towards more like knowledge-based skills as of late?
I've noticed that actually. There's quite a bit.
I'm trying to think what really kind of kicked that off, because like we had like rifle dynamics and mag pull stuff, and that was, I mean, Christ, even back then, like rifle drills were not a common thing.
No, you're right. But what I think, and I've really seen it over the last 2 years, a lot of it is, and I'm going to be a little, I don't want to say pessimistic, but absolutely pessimistic here. As bad things become more imminent, people, and thankfully, like the community as a whole has been pushing for it. But I think it's really gotten people thinking about, oh shit, like I have a gun that I mag dump at trash with like a EOTech on it that I have 50 rounds through in 3 years. Maybe I should think about how to purify water.
Yes.
Maybe I should learn how to, everyone remembers 2020, and, a lot of people don't want to think about it. But God, just the other day, I was reading an article on, he's a page I really, really like. He's a young guy, really into economics. I think his username is Flirt Cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about how in 2014, a group of armed and trained individuals carried out an attack on a power substation. And the article showed, like, not only did they get away with it, and it was very easy and professionally done, but a majority of the infrastructure is completely unprotected, and there is no way that people aren't.
I remember that.
Fucking with those things. Yeah. Oh, spicy podcast alert.
Really,
and
I saw the post, but prior to that, I'd never heard of this. 2010, did you say?
2014, I believe.
2014.
Yeah, well, I can see why it never really made big news.
Well, they don't want people to know that shit.
They don't want people to know you could do this. Like, the government doesn't want you to know that power substations are free. You can just take them home. I have 16 power substations in my garage. But like, I think a lot of the push for knowledge is coming from the fact that I would hope that a lot of people are starting to realize that basically everything is built upon a house of cards. And at some point, it is not unlikely that we're all going to get really uncomfortable really fast for whatever reason. And the push for learning basic skills and homesteading and, bushcraft or orienteering or being able to find your way around without a GPS. Like, so many people don't have that. They just can't do it. Like, land nav is something totally lost on people. Hell, finding your way to the freaking convenience store without Google Maps is something that's lost on a lot of people. And now we're at kind of a crossroads where people are going like, oh, well, I mag dump a trash twice a year, but I'm absolutely fucked if anything happens. I would like to hope it's a big driver of culture, but the other part of me is just like, oh no, fucking Garen Thumb did a video, now it's trendy. And God, I love Mike and all of that, and he's absolutely frustrated by the fact that stuff that he wants and like is valuable is becoming a trend. I would imagine he's probably more frustrated than most. But I do think a lot of people that pick up on the trend are in it for the right reasons. I would hope, anyway.
No, I agree on that. Like, as we've seen, there has been more trends that have had to do with skill sets, which I think is a cool thing. And like, honestly, a lot of the talk that I've seen about lockpicking did spawn like pretty soon after he did his urban survival video. Like, I don't know how much you keep up on Grand Thumb or any of the YouTube gun guy trends, Pat, but did you notice any kind of correlation between like after the kind of urban survival thing kicked off and then more interest in lockpicking, or was there no correlation?
I know that I got tons. My DMs blew up that day. He posted that.
Oh, really?
Urban survival block about lockpicking. Yeah.
No, that's
My
fucking
friends were
awesome.
like, "Dude, did you hear what he just said?" I said, "Yeah, sweet." He is a really cool cat. I would love to share some knowledge with him. I think that'd be super cool.
For sure, and that's what I do love about those kind of guys talking more about these skills is we're now getting away from kind of like the urgency of the times has made these things come to the forefront, but like you were saying, Nathan, like instead of just having an AR with an EOTech that's you've zeroed once and then taken out with a few friends,
a sight mark and a dildo foregrip.
yeah. Hey, look, it's got balls, dude. Like, no. Now the guy's like, oh fuck, I need a ruck, and I need how to purify water. But what
dude,
if I'm stuck in the city?
Getting wasted by that though. Like day one.
Day one, but no, it would be Bubba and his SKS. He's like, oh my god, this guy's a Daniel Defense, sick.
Yeah.
loot drop. But
Jesus.
like no, people are people are realizing what is actually, and I think the biggest, most important takeaway, like you were saying, with these things, frustratingly being trends at times, people really need to plug into that individualism, which I think is something all three of us can harp on about at length, in not just, culturally individualism important, but when it comes to this, tactical world, individualism is so important because you have all three of us right now, where we're sitting, have wildly different problems if the power goes out. And me and Pat have talked about this a little bit, but I mean, power goes out for me, I'm going to be sweating my fucking balls off. Mm-hmm. I need to make sure, and water goes out. I'm going to need to make sure I have enough water. I need to figure out a plan to resupply if power and water is fucked. It's going to be very different for you, Nathan. I guess it's not fucking cold right now in this time of year.
Yeah.
But, potentially power goes out, you're fucked in the cold. And for Pat, I guess we're in a similar climate now, but back when we were in Florida, you would have had very different issues.
It was 100 fucking degrees out today here in Texas.
Yeah. And it is not a dry heat. Oh, fuck. Did we lose Nathan?
Yeah, we did.
Hey, do you guys like war belts? Well, let me tell you about a super high military grade Army spec war belt from one of our most near and dear sponsors, Advanced Warfighter Solutions. Not only are they super high military grade in quality, they are also civilian grade in quality and actually really fucking cool belts. I highly recommend that you get one. I've been using mine for years, even long before AWS has been a sponsor of this podcast. So if you use code ARTandWar10, you can save some, I think it's $10 off of AWS SMU warfighting belt. We don't get any kickback from that. You just save money, and they're an awesome company that also contributed to Nathan's iPad fund because he needed a new iPad. So good for them. They're really cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks, AWS.
Hey, this is Mitchell with B.R and Art. Did you know that we have a Patreon? We do have a Patreon, and there's a ton of cool things there. Super cool things, and Nathan's going to tell you about them.
Hey guys, Nathan here from the Art and War podcast, here to tell you about Patreon. There's a 24-hour Korean massage parlor several blocks from my house, and I go there for happy endings. It gets pretty expensive, and I need you to donate me money so I can continue to serve my dark addiction.
Not only can you help Nathan get hand jobs from Koreans, you can also help us continue to improve the quality of content that we do. You get merch now after a couple months of being a Patreon subscriber, which is cool. We also have stickers, and we also have high-res downloadable targets that you can download, send to Staples, and get weird looks when you print them out to bring them to your range and shoot. Also, all of our guides All of our guides are downloadable, high res, so if you want to print them out and make a cool little book, yeah, you can go for that too.
You can find our Patreon via the link in this episode's description or in the C-Bernard page's bio on Instagram. Now let's get back to the show. God damn it, I was really hoping to avoid any fucking technical difficulties. Whenever I'm here, I'm like, alright, we're gonna produce the shit out of this, there's gonna be no technical issues, and then all of a sudden, your connection looks better. I can see your beautiful face again.
Oh, yes. Pat's back.
Went and shot
Nice.
a pigeon off the fucking satellite dish or something. I had to do that as a kid. They used to land on our fucking aerial. I had to go outside with a BB gun and shoot pigeons off the fucking roof.
That is so fucking funny.
I like people when I say I grew up like British redneck, they really doubt me, but that was what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking training culture before we got rudely interrupted by technical difficulties, and kind of how we're getting to a point where people are being more urgent about needing to know, all sorts of skills. And what I wanted to get into was kind of the individualism of training, which is so important. And it's not just, oh, I need to do recce and go in the mountains if I live in fucking Iowa, or the middle of Atlanta or Chicago or some shit. You need a very different skill set to the guy going and playing in the mountains. And there's so many different scenarios you could set up and babble on about. But we were just saying how individualism and you wanted to get into training culture. Like we talk a lot about gun culture 3.0 or 3.5 or 4.0 or whatever the fuck we're in.
Big time.
But training culture 3.0, what does that look like, Pat Watson?
Fuck classrooms and fuck this stuck curriculum. And it's not even bringing the student out of the classroom. It's bringing their brains out of the classroom. There's so much disconnect between the lesson that's taught on the flat range or the classroom or whatever, even in the shoot house. It's the lesson that's taught, but there's so much framing missing. And so many things in life are organic, and it's not just one thing that happens by itself in a box. So the lockpicking, so for our advanced course, we're doing some blocks where we teach you the skill set, but our operational goal for the first, second, third night, the goal is get into the facility, grab this thing, come out of the facility. And the thing is not related to our skill sets. So what we're doing is we're intentionally pushing that skill set to the background, and the decisions that need to be made are about the operation are in the foreground. Same thing with shooting. So you don't respond to a school shooter or any active shooter and go, oh, I have to go there so that I can pull the trigger this many times and put it on safe. No, you're there to stop a threat. So the decision about stopping that threat should be in the front of your brain. If it's time to drop the hammer, yes, you flip the safety, you pull the trigger and you drop the hammer. But there's so much more going on around that, especially about decision making, that it's just so much. If we can take all of those skills and push them to the background in training, that will help prepare you in real life to start making smarter decisions. And again, every problem, is a nail when all you have is a hammer. So we try to get our students to think. And every scenario that we try to give our students, whether it's a scenario or an operation or a drill, we try to tell them, we try to give them some type of mental and emotional stimulus, which is, if there's a baby burning to death in this car, what do you do? And they go, well, I have this pick and that pick. And I go, wrong, you smash the fucking window. Or you spend 5 seconds picking if you know that it's an easy pick. But you don't spend 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You don't let the kid die. So the decision making is not about the skill sets that we teach. The decision making is about what you want to happen IRL. And if the goal is save the baby, then go save the baby and use whatever skill sets are reasonable. So it's balancing the effectiveness and the efficiency of the skill set. It's making a reasonable choice. So don't kick a door in when you don't have to or when you shouldn't. So that's training culture 3.0 is I want to see people start acting like fucking humans and getting out of their seats and out of their classrooms. And I want to see the curriculum, the concepts in the curriculum I think can stay the same or pretty consistent as long as there's nothing drastic that happens in technology or in the world. But I think that the tools, the techniques, the lesson blocks, I think those need to change with every student question and with every class. And I think that's okay. Being standardized for standardized sake, I think, is training culture 1.0.
Yeah.
And I think that talking to humans and solving problems, like you said, at the individual level, that's huge. And I also want to tie into that it's not just, yes, individual training, making yourself a very highly competent. That's like capable and competent all in one. A capable and competent person.
Yeah.
That's good, because when you get into an intentional community or a team, you need to be a highly useful human, and the people around you should be too. And you can't all be good at the same shit. You can be good at a lot of stuff together that has a lot of overlap. Everyone should know how to apply a tourniquet, but everyone doesn't have to be Doc. And everyone should know how to take a standard set of lockpicks and pick open a standard keyway, but everyone doesn't have to be me or Dave or whoever, is in your group. So I think that's training culture 3.0, is we have to have a shift in understanding why we're learning things.
Yeah.
Should we learn shit that we didn't know that we needed to learn with the digital stuff and the drones and man, learning how to make your own food and how to cook it is way more tactical than taking your 13th rifle course, in my opinion. But what do I know?
So many of those things, again, back to like the urgency, so many people are like kind of getting kicked out of that comfortable mindset of there will always be time to learn these things. And it's like, dude, these are skills that could be saving lives, today. Like and it's this is kind of like it's a dead horse, but it's a good dead horse. Medical has been undervalued for so long. Last couple of years, it's definitely gotten the love it needed. But Nathan, was it you that was saying you were there was like a crash that you were nearby recently?
Yeah, I was on the highway the other day, and it's like a double lane, awful highway with a lot of stops on it. There's right before you leave the city, there's just this really awkward left turn, and someone just gets fucking blindsided, and they tried to take the turn at the wrong time. Someone going like 80 down the highway fucking smashes into the side. 80 kilometers, so significantly less than. The guy behind the wheel passes out, and he just drives into the stopped traffic next to them. And what really surprised me is that everyone got up and ran right towards it. Like the minute the vehicle stopped moving, like bystander.
That's just Canada.
No, it's really not, man. Trust me.
Oh, really?
Like I've seen not a ton of accidents or anything like that, but it was nice to see people actually respond.
But did many other people have like medical?
I didn't see anyone with medical, and there were just like cuts and scrapes. It wasn't anything super bad. The guy passed out, but he woke up after the second collision. And
yeah,
there was a kid. If the kid was in the other seat, that kid would be friggin' strawberry jam right now. But I didn't see anyone else with medical. I grabbed my trauma kit out of the back seat and just ran towards it. Everyone was okay. It was like a couple Band-Aids. But
yeah. Well, I mean, still, it's just that impulse. But okay, it looks like it's a dead horse that we need to keep on being.
Yeah, because stuff happens. You're a lot more likely to have to use medical on any given day than pull your gun on someone.
Yeah, honestly, you're probably going to need to. Yes, I was about to say, pick a lock before you need to pull your gun. You should absolutely carry a gun, but like, it's far more likely, things like medical, things like lockpicking, things like needing to purify water, or Christ, I mean, there's a billion other smaller skills that we just don't practice, like being able to trade with someone.
Yeah. I love barter economy so much.
Yeah, like those are skills. It sounds wild to say, like, you should know how to be able to approach someone and what's actually valuable in a shit hits the fan scenario, and how to communicate with someone, and all those kind of conflict resolving skills. If you don't have any of those, but you take like rifle course after rifle course after pistol course after fighting out of my car courses, I would argue fighting out your car is probably more important than going advanced carbine. But anyway, that. Oh, Christ! Something that you mentioned, Pat, was defensive driving, right? Or like proper.
Yeah, just tactical driving. So I'll give you another tip too. They're pretty. You can find them in the U.S.
Are
pretty
they very
easily.
common?
If you can't find one, you can also search for stunt driving for things like movies and TV.
Mm.
They'll teach you how to do J-turns and all sorts of shit that you can apply tactically.
Mm.
Or you can do we're the NASCAR country, so you can take a like a NASCAR course, and they will teach you about how to manage your vehicle better, which will save your life, I'm pretty sure, before your gunfighting tactics. And that's not to attack people that are good shooters. That's fucking awesome. The time that you need to be a good shooter, that's going to be really important. But so is getting your family off the freeway, when your wheels start skidding safely. One that changed my fucking life from 2 years ago, which made everything better, was just figuring out some human shit, man. Like, lots of people go through lots of different things, and everyone has their own flavor of, difficult life. And just getting to know myself better with some help, and just how to do some intentional, like, introspection and learning more about me. Fuck, man, that changed my life in the last 2 years more than any school or course. Was just talking to some people about just leveling up as a human, and that I couldn't be happier, man. Both businesses, the dog business and the lockpicking stuff, are steadily growing. I'm more free now than I've ever been. I'm happy. I try to bring value to every relationship I'm in, whether that's friends or collaborators or internet people. So that's something to maybe consider. Because what's the use of your 13th rifle course and your medical course and your car course if you're a fucking asshole to people?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're much more likely to need any of those skill sets if you're an asshole to people. But I mean, that's kind of the point of what you're saying. Like, when you kind of well, perhaps not the point of what you're saying, but a point of what you're saying. When you kind of figure yourself out, you tend to get into less conflicts where those things are going to be necessary. And I mean, Christ, you're just going to be more content in life, for one. That is, God help you if over the last 2 years you haven't slowed down and kind of taken account of what's important, and you've just been angry and swirling in chaos. As unfortunately, I think a lot of people have been kind of in this weird cultural void we're in now. It's just like, everything's chaos, the next thing, just always in a panic, instead of actually being like, how do I get through this, and how do I not waste this time waiting for things to get back to normal? Because they're not getting back to normal. So it's time to grow, and time to become a better you, and to adapt to this weird fucking world we live in.
Yeah. No, I have talks with friends a lot, and I honestly think, if any of us were looking at, this year under the thought, like, oh, by the way, this is what's going to be like in 2022, a lot of us would think we're fucking crazy. But it happened gradually enough that we just kind of, like, we all know we're living in a dystopia, but the average person doesn't. I was talking with a friend, and I just said, like, hey, maybe, it came up naturally. I just didn't shove this in his face. Maybe you should, I have a little bit of water, and I, just a couple gallons, and I have the ability to freshen more. And he goes, oh, why do you have that? And dude lives in downtown Arizona. Like,
oh, come on, man. I gotta find this guy, and I gotta educate this dude.
Oh, he's the one I told you.
Yeah. I figured.
Yeah. Like, dude, have you ever, thought of the idea that maybe these days you're going to turn on your tap and nothing's going to come out?
That happened to me the other day. It was fucking terrifying. Same. I came back from Chillderburg and the water was out. I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah. No, same. Like, it happened a little while ago, and, the water wasn't running. I'm like, oh, well, shit. Is this it?
Like, seriously. God damn it, I wasn't ready today, but okay.
But all right, I guess it is what it is. But, like, everything is fragile, and even if it's not, like, picking these skills up is a good idea. You never know when you'll have to, again, pick a lock because, your kid is stuck in the bathroom, or, tourniquet someone whose arm was crushed in an industrial accident, or, like, in a car. Also, like, going back, because, the gun thing is cool. Not enough people shoot long range, and I don't even mean long range. It's like, how many people listening to this have shot recently past 200 meters, past 100 meters? I'm sure there's going to be some, but, like, the vast majority, probably, 0 to 25 or maybe 50.
You saying percent?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say.
Oh no, I mean 0 to 25 meters or yards.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. I would say like being very conservative and hoping that a lot of our listeners get out and do some fun stuff. Less than 5%, I would say.
Yeah. And it's like, it's an
that's-
entirely different game to shoot over 300, 400 meters. And not enough people practice it. And, it's not difficult once you get all the fundamentals down. I mean, it's more difficult than not, but a lot of people just don't do it. Maybe go do that. Maybe go find like a power line trail somewhere with a good backstop. Or somewhere where you are legally and safely able to shoot long range. And, give it a try.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking to another buddy the other day, and he bought like a LaRue Predator OBR, like their AR-10, like precision rifle in 308. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you can't really shoot this thing over 300 meters anyway." It's like, yes, you fucking can. Yes, you absolutely can. Are you serious?
Internal screaming.
Yeah.
But
and like that is something people should learn.
So, if there was like main takeaways that you would kind of push to any instructors who, you in your opinion, you'd kind of say they were still stuck in that 2.0 kind of training culture. Is there any big things you would say? Is it just kind of like get people out of their seats in a classroom, or is there what would be like your main principles of 3.0?
Probably... Oh shit. Okay.
Wait,
I guess I did about 5 to 6 hours on this recently on my podcast, so you can check that out if you want. It's the last few episodes, and they're all the title should be course design or curriculum design, things like that. So when you're putting your curriculum together, when you're saying, I want to go teach these things, the biggest thing I can tell you that I would very humbly, if I were in the tactical training 3.0 world and I was trying to get other people up to speed, I would tell you, just start asking yourself why you've put a certain block of instruction into your curriculum. And then I would start adding variable questions to yourself or with whoever's on your team. And I would go, why are we teaching this block? And just get that brain going. Oh, we're teaching drawing from the holster because people need to draw from the holster. Cool. And then I would go, let's start adding variables. Can we teach this, later in the curriculum, or does it have to be earlier in the curriculum? Oh, good question. We never really thought about that. Oh, good. And maybe that'll bring something up. And then it's, how long do we spend teaching this? Like, what if students are just not really fast getting out of the holster? Does that prohibit us from going to block number 2? Because sometimes in your course, you might have to get that nailed down before you move to block 2. Sometimes you can go, okay, here's an intro to shooting from the holster. Let's move on. So if you don't know what status that is, that's bad. If you can make that conscious decision of, we're going to teach it for a couple minutes, and then we have to stop and we have to move to something else. As long as you're making that conscious decision, that adds value and depth to your students, to their experience. If you just blindly get a piece of paper and you go, okay, first 30 minutes we'll work on that, next 30 minutes we'll work on that, and you don't know why, that's your problem. So start asking yourself questions and start adding variables to that question. And then you can be putting in blocks of empty time. So there's always times in courses where things go a little long. Let that fill into your empty time. And Dave and I have blocks of instruction that don't make it into our curriculum unless we get to the end and we go, oh shit, we have a couple extra hours. So then we have blocks that are prepared that we go, hey, this was not core content, but we have the time. Now we want you to learn this too. That's so much better than going, oh my God, we got to the end. Any questions, or you want to go home early? That's not an experience for your students. They got gypped.
Oh God, that is the most frustrating fucking thing. It's like, I paid money for like, an 8-hour course or whatever, and you're like, oh, you want to go home early? It's like, no, dude, my day was blocked for this. and now, like, what am I doing? I'm just plinking with a bunch of guys that I don't know for like, 2 hours, and my instructor's sitting there on his phone.
Here's another one. It's a personal pet peeve, which is
what are we doing?
We're recording this in the year 2022 is the simulation that we're currently in. And instructors are still handing out paper evaluations or critique forms, right? And some instructor, I just heard one of my students say it in my class last week. They said, some instructors will gather those and read them out loud to the class and defend why the critiques are wrong, like to the whole class. And I'm like, Christ. Listen, so I try to tell my students, the company that hosted me last week provided me critiques. I don't read them. They're for the company. They're not for me. But I told the guys, listen, it's 2022. If you have a critique for me and if you have feedback for how the course went, you can find my email. You can find me on social media. It's Uncensored Tactical, 2 words. I'm findable. If you have some valuable feedback, wait till you get home, let it digest, and then contact me however you want. Here's my phone number. You can call me if it's that important, but I shouldn't have to make you sit here and take valuable class time to write that down. I also shouldn't be collecting those while the class is still in progress. So it's very old thinking. That's kind of like, what do you call it? Like, that's like cuck shit, man. Like, just do your thing, teach, and don't hold your fucking ego over the heads of your students. Teach them why don't you focus more on teaching a little bit more when you have that extra time at the end of the course. Let them take those critiques home and mail them in. If it's that important, they'll get it to you. If they don't really have anything to say and they go, great class, well, then that gives you no value either. So don't force them to fill something out just for the sake of filling something out. It's the brain, it's the noodle up here. It has nothing to do with, I mean, almost all these courses, you can change worlds if you think differently, and people are just so stuck in bureaucratic mindsets, man.
Oh, change is scary, Pat.
Yeah, and it comes with being uncomfortable too, which is tough for some people.
Yeah, I think what has been good about, this period, like I was saying, this time to grow and stuff, is people have been forced to be uncomfortable, and people have reacted in one of 2 ways. They have gone to the safest place possible, and they have decided to just, not participate in anything and freeze where they're at, or they've decided to really plug in and do that growing and do that learning because they're already uncomfortable. So it's like, all right, well,
so here's another one. Here's another one that Dave and I talk about quite a bit, which is putting ourselves in the shoes of the students. With every adjustment that we make, we go, oh shit. So we're changing this and we're putting this in and we're taking that out, and that's our first night of operations for the advanced class. Okay, cool. And then we go, now we hit the reset button, and Dave goes, Pat, if you showed up to this facility and this is your safe house and you got there at 8:30 at night and you walked in the door and there was a locked ammo box that you had to decode, and inside there was a QR code, and that QR code took you to a secret webpage, and you watched a video that was the briefing, and then you loaded up in the van and you drove to the next facility and you made your entry on the first night, what then would you think? And I go, oh, damn, I would hope that'd be fucking cool. Whereas before it was, we all show up at the facility and we kick it for a couple of minutes and we hang out and we do about us and we grab a beer and we do some easy lockpicking. And I think for what we're looking for, we want that experience for the students. So it's also, even if you're on the flat range, it's if I were a student and pick something, just go, I was the last guy in the shooting line. It was really, 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 really good. And the rest of the people in the class were really not good. How would I feel? And what can I do to fix that? Because there are ways in your curriculum that you can, we do it all the time. We can still design a curriculum where high speed people aren't being held back by low speed or beginner people. So in the 2 and now the 5-day class that we teach, no matter what your skill level, you are always hands-on with something, and you are able to challenge yourself 100% of the time. We're never holding you back and going, nope, you can't pick up that new lock yet because someone else is struggling. We don't do that. So how do you manage fast students and slow students? And how do you blend that together? So asking these questions before the class happens, that's the value. And you're allowed to fuck up. You're allowed to fail. And that's what you're supposed to do. You do a debrief after the course and you say, how do we adjust these other things? And then you also have to let that go too. Dave and I just had a long chat about that, which was, I walked into my last course last week and I expected something to happen. And through the course of teaching for 2 days, the students kind of took on their own role and their own personality as a group. And I flowed with that. And at the end of the course, I remembered, I was like, oh God, I expected this one thing like to go a certain way. And all of the feedback was like, hey, we're so glad it didn't go that way. And I'm like, shit, well, I planned for it to, but we didn't have to. I was trying to gauge the room. And that thing was basically, I think that was free time at the end of the class. I try to build in that free time and have blocks available to teach. And the students were just very happy self-teaching or self-learning. And I would coach and walk around the room. And I was expecting to have to put in more blocks of instruction. And they were like, as far as I saw, they were thrilled. They were like, oh yeah, we got some fucking downtime. Let me go pick up this. Let me go pick up that. Let me play with this. And I was like, I'm not going to get in the way. Cool. So debriefing, preparing, getting better for the next course, but then also being willing to set that aside and let the course be its own thing too is a big level up, in my opinion. So yes, you can prepare better, you can do better, but you also have to take it, in stride.
Yeah, well, and that comes right back to the whole thing of instructor's ego. Like, if an instructor goes in planning to do things a certain way, some instructors might have issue with a class that's gonna self-teach, who's gonna sit there and like, oh yeah, we're figuring it out, and you're just kind of observing and on hand. They'll be like, oh well, no one's watching me do things I'm great at, and have a fucking issue with it, and then the students might suffer for it. So being able to kind of like both, just switch between roles that your students need back to that individualism is valuable and hopefully the future. And I don't know, like
oh fuck.
Do you think ego is like? I mean, I know we have a lot of like, I know we have a lot of influencer educators, but you are more plugged into, I feel like a good circuit of serious educators amongst all of that as well. Do you feel like there's a good amount of people who are removed from that egocentric mindset beyond just, because I mean, we were all very pessimistic about kind of the instructor kind of standard, because we see the worst of it. That's what we see the most of. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you raise our hope for education, like the direction training is going? Or
it's kind of a double-edged sword. So now that post 9/11, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of local quote tactical courses, and you have lots of veterans and just lots of civilian shooters and other tactics. It's really easy to find something for you to go do for training, but the problem is, if you're finding just something, you're probably finding an instructor with a ton of fucking ego, because that's the world that we used to live in. Was I'm in the military, I'm in law enforcement, my instructors wear special shirts and they get special privileges and they have a special life and special pay and special time, and they're always in charge of the students. And so when I teach, I'll just do the same thing. And it's like a fucking cancer in the training world. And I try to do everything that isn't. Yeah. So on the flip side though, because we have social media, any course that you want to take, if you're going to sign up to take a course as a student and you can't see your teacher teaching, or at least if they don't have instruction blocks up and available for you to look at, like there's not a ton of content of me actively teaching, but it's out there, and at least I'm doing after-action reviews of all the courses that I teach, so you can find out a lot about my course before you go there. You can get basically the whole curriculum. You can see it in videos and photos and podcasts. So if you want to find that training course that is in the Tactical 3.0 training world, you can do that. So the problem is, lots of stuff is out there and it's very mainstream and it's very ego driven and it's very bureaucratic, but it's available. But again, because of social media, you can find some really cool shit. So if you plan your timing right, you get your vacation right, you save your money right, you can get some really, really high value stuff that will change your life. But you got to do the research. Good news is that research is getting easier to do every day.
I think that is one of the most important parts, because we talk a lot of people talk about getting educated and getting that training in and diversifying your skill sets and stuff, but a big part of that is just finding worthwhile instruction, because it is fucking terrifying to look for a good carbine course or anything in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, dude! This is like one of the capitals of
That's scary.
Gun people and veterans kind of coming to do their training out in the desert, because like everyone, and not to just talk shit on Arizona, but anywhere where there's like a high veteran population, you're not sure, just like Pat was saying, how many of these guys are going to be like genuinely good, knowledgeable people who are good teachers and who have removed their ego from it, and how many just want to be the guy standing there in the special shirt, So I think this is one of the most important topics that can be discussed moving into this world of like, we need to be working on those big sexy brains. we need to find good people to nurture those big sexy brains, and not just blindly go out and find instructors who may or may not be helping us. They could just as much be harming us with poor ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad it's at least the conversation has shifted so rapidly to education, and that being kind of
Nathan, was
there
that
being
you?
a search for it. Excuse me, sir.
Huh? Oh, that actually might be Ellie. I think she's
No,
outside.
that was my little domestic terrorist. That was
Then Ellie's yelling at the same
thought that was
time because I can
Catman.
hear her.
no, it was Catman, but
Aw.
no. I live with a demon.
I live with
It
a demon
destroys
too.
everything.
Come here,
Anyway,
demon.
he is not.
Oh no, that demon is hidden. That's asleep.
So we've done instruction and stuff.
we got more shit
Christ,
coming,
we've
dude.
done the
We're
book.
We're busy, man. We didn't talk dogs this time, but we
Anything
did
we
a
missed,
lot
Pat?
last time, I think.
Yeah.
did a lot last
I was trying to do the yin to the yang, or vice versa, to last episode, because
yeah,
I was
that's
listening to it, and at the end you're like, we didn't even mention lockpicking. It's
Yeah,
like, oh no. But yeah. So what's in your sights?
So I would like in the next 5 to 6 years to be a full-time author. That's in my sights. I still want to do teaching. I like the teaching a lot, but I really like the writing process.
That'd be amazing.
It just tickles my brain a certain way. And I also am. We are shifting gears too. If you listen to our podcast over the last year or so, we had a couple big shifts where we are getting into consulting a lot more now. So we have a few clients that we're just doing pro bono stuff now for, and we're helping them design courses and write curriculum. We're also doing a little bit of ghostwriting for some people. So those are going to be active avenues for us in the future. So we're going to start scaling into not just doing the teaching and doing the writing, but helping other people do the teaching and do the writing themselves, which I think that's the equivalent, even though it's a status movie. Do you remember the old
Yeah.
SWAT movie with Colin Farrell and Samuel L. Jackson? Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one used to be cool. Yeah.
Back when I thought that stuff
remember
was
when,
cool as shit.
I was like, I don't want to be someone that tells people what to do. I want to be the doer, and that's what I did with my military career. But I remember the scene where Hondo is like not the best shooter. He's like pretty good, but not the best. And the other guys are like, hey, you're the team leader, and we're better than you. And he's like, yeah, well, I tell you who to shoot. He's like, you go do the shooting then. And I thought, oh yeah, what cool old guy comeback. And now I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, I really like doing the teaching and the consulting of helping people level up. Like that makes me really happy. And it's a different way to spread knowledge, is by helping other people spread knowledge. So that stuff, that's the new direction that we're moving. But as always, we got new books coming out. We got an online store where we sell lockpick tools. We have dog training that we can do. I love that. That's a part of who I am now. That makes me really happy. We're teaching in-person courses, probably very few, maybe 2 of them a year, maybe 3 if we're lucky. So get in on that. We have the online video course up and running. That's about it, man. We're pretty easy. We're busy, but we're easy.
Last I heard, I think it was in the last episode, you mentioned you were teaching. I don't want to call him like an apprentice,
Yes, that's
but like
Dave,
someone
yeah.
working with you. You told him to go and teach a lockpicking course, right?
I think he's done 2 now.
Okay, that is Dave. Is he doing that under Uncensored Tactical, or is it completely his own thing?
Yes and no. It's a mixed answer. Yeah. So when he needs it, when he does a larger course, I'm more than happy to list it as my course that he'll be teaching. But for now, he's teaching some mutual friends and some peers of ours, and he's setting up multiple courses for people and traveling and doing his thing. And I love that. You know what's funny? You want something really funny?
Okay.
Have you guys seen
Uncensored
what is it?
Tactical? Oh, sorry.
Despicable Me? Those movies?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
there's this scene, I think it's in the second one, where Gru's lab assistant guy, the doctor with the lab coat, he quits and takes a different job. And Gru is like, oh my God. He's like, let me give you the best send-off possible. And I'm like, oh, I did not expect that. Like, that was probably the coolest moment in that whole movie. And that's what I try to be. Like anytime, like whenever Dave graduates and wants to be a public person, I am going to do everything I can to make him successful. And I collaborate with a lot of people in this community too. If you follow the Cloaked Entry Co. on Instagram, that's Sky Pirate and they both run that company together. They do lockpicking courses on the East Coast, and they travel too. Oni, which is Surreptitious Services on Instagram. He is in South Texas, and I collaborate with him quite a bit too. And the really cool fucking thing we found in our niche circles, at least on Instagram, with me and those two other people and some others as well. Aftermath Gear is one of them. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting you, but there's some other cool people. The coolest thing about it is we've had some discussions where we asked ourselves the math equation, which is if we're all at each other's throats and we're stealing clients from each other and we're undercutting each other and we're like fucking with each other and we're all still paying our bills, then that must mean if we collaborated, all that money still exists and we're all going to level up even faster. So we've created a community where we are helping one another. We're coaching with one another. We're posting openings for courses for one another. We're promoting one another's businesses instead of the opposite, which is what a lot of kind of the tactical world does, which I hate, which is, oh, fuck these other courses. Well, in my industry, yeah, train with me, train with my friends. I'll tell you who I like and who I don't like. But we try to start with collaboration, and then we have healthy competition within that. If you start with thinking everyone's your competitor, it's really hard to then reach out and go, hey, I like what you do. Can we maybe talk? Like, that's tough. So again, it's just trying to be a good human, really enjoying what I do. It is definitely a passion and not a job. I fucking love this stuff. Thanks for letting me rant for fucking 2 hours.
No,
don't worry about it.
It is your episode, buddy.
Yes.
And everything that you were just saying there, meeting you in person, I could fucking see it. I could see that you love this stuff.
Hot.
And just you're dripping with passion. Not literally. You were very dry for the Texas heat.
Hot.
Yeah, just hot, but not dripping with sweat. But no, you were so passionate and so into it. Every time you got an opportunity to teach someone, you lit up. No matter what it was, or like you got a chance to kind of challenge someone's perception on anything. It was so good to see. I love that you're a part of this community, and I love that you're bringing this to this community and spreading these ideas. It's so good to hear that you're going to be doing that consulting stuff. We're better for Pat Watson.
Yes.
So thank you for coming on, man, and chatting with us and sharing all that you're doing. And I'm so excited to see what you're doing in a year's time or 2 years' time, and how many books we have out here. I feel like you are in like that embryo stages still. You got decades ahead of you doing this stuff, man. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, if the world lasts that long, let's fucking do it. Let's get weird.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the books.
We'll print on papyrus or whatever.
All right, thanks fellow weirdos. This has been an absolute blast.
Likewise,
Yes, thank
man.
you for coming on.
Oh, before we go, we have to get some dad advice.
Dad advice.
We have to offer up the sacrifice to the to the. I don't know what the fuck I'm on about. We need the knowledge. The dad advice from Pat Watson.
Oh, all right.
Advice you would give as a dad.
Well, I'm not a dad. Not as far as I know, I'm not a dad. Okay, I'll do one. So it's framed as if I were talking to the younger me. I've heard this come up a few times recently. So I guess that's what a kid is, right? A small version of you. So if I were talking to a little person that was me, what I probably needed to hear when I was a kid, which of course wouldn't have had an impact for a long time until I started, growing older. It's that as a kid, almost every single thing that I had believed was true turns out that I now believe almost the exact opposite. And that's okay. And that's part of the process. That would be my advice. That when those things happen and you realize, oh no, it's not what it seems, to not freak out. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean you failed. That's growth. It's the only way you grow is by doing things differently and doing things that are challenging and asking yourself hard questions. And sometimes when you ask hard questions and you see the answer is not what you wanted, then a shift has to occur. That's it. That was a weird question, but I liked it. I'm glad you asked.
That is the new tradition that we have stolen from Grantham. But and we've been doing it for like tens of episodes now. But no, excellent answer, very fucking valuable to know. I know myself. Where I'm at now is the ideological opposite of what I was as a good little military brat. So wild, fucking wild. What can happen to you just getting out and seeing the world? So no, thank you for that, Pat. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. We'll have all of Pat's stuff down in the description below. But yeah.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.